Um, we know that prior to COVID, about 40% of California households were experiencing severe housing cost burdens, and about 50% of renters were. And this means that they're spending at least 30% of their income on housing. What has happened with COVID is that many of those households have gotten even further behind. Nationally, approximately 15% of renter households are behind on their rent. In California, that is 14%, or more than 880,000 households. On average, researchers estimate that each of these households is behind by about $3,000 to $5,000. If you think about California's high housing costs, it's likely to be higher than that for many households. And it also makes it increasingly difficult for these households to make up this back rent and then also stay current on their current rent. We know that these income losses due to the COVID-19 shutdowns and missed rent payments are higher among certain structurally marginalized populations. So lower income households are much more likely to have lost income and be behind on rent than higher income. People of color are more likely to be behind on their rent. Single parent households, particularly women with children, are significantly more likely to be behind on rent, and people with a disability. So we're looking at structurally marginalized populations who are more likely to be behind on rent and more vulnerable to eviction.
The root causes of homelessness, the number one driver of homelessness in California and elsewhere is housing unaffordability. This is from a Zillow paper that was done in 2018. And as you can see, it shows that not only does housing unaffordability increase homelessness, but as the rate of housing unaffordability rises, the rate at which it contributes to homelessness also rises. And we can see that playing out in California. I mean, these two charts just give you a sense of how rent costs in California. As you can see, 6 of the 10 most expensive rental markets in the state can lead to really intense concentrations of homelessness. The chart on the right shows that the unhoused population of California is overwhelmingly concentrated in a handful of metro areas, and those metro areas correspond pretty neatly to the most expensive rental markets on the chart to the left. The first root cause I want to discuss is just structural racism, that a lot of the rules that have led to housing being so unaffordable in California were part of a deliberate attempt to keep various communities in California mostly or exclusively white. Also wanted to highlight Article 34, which is a provision in the California State Constitution passed in, I believe, the 1950s, that makes it significantly harder to build low-income, affordable housing. And the results of this are that Black Californians are very significantly overrepresented in the homeless population of California. You can see from this chart that only about 7% of the state's population as a whole is Black, but nearly a third of the homeless population is Black. And again, you can trace that directly back to the fact that the same policies that have made housing so unaffordable for so many in California were also specifically designed in many cases to keep Black Californians out of housing.
And I think that this is something that's important to help folks understand, particularly your readers and listeners, that there are a lot of areas in California that allowed all of this type of housing up until we stopped allowing it. And a lot of us live in those homes. And so I want to point out here on what you have on the screen was the decision by the city of Los Angeles to cap its population. They spoke about this openly. And if you look at the part that's circled, if you can't read it, I'm going to read it for you. In a report to Mayor Sam York, the City Council and Planning Commission, Hamilton proposed a reduction in zoning capacity in single-family and multiple zone neighborhoods to protect the city's, and in quotes, suburbia within the city atmosphere. This happened throughout the state of California. This was not just the city of Los Angeles.